Well, it's getting to be the thick of autumn now, Jeff.
Yep.
I can't imagine we'll get too many more days to row out into a lake.
Yeah, I get that, Ray. We had a slow start to fall this year, but it seems to be here now, especially in southern New Hampshire.
And what brings us to the town of Dublin today?
Ray, we've come to Dublin, New Hampshire, specifically to the deep, dark, and spooky waters of Dublin Lake to search for a monster and an alien. Hello, I'm Jeff Belanger. Welcome to episode 418 of the New England Legends podcast.
And I'm Ray Auger. Thank you for joining us on our mission to chronicle every legend in New England one story at a time. Thank you, legendarians, for riding along with us as we search for ghosts, monsters, aliens, roadside oddities, eccentrics, and all the wicked strangeness that makes New England like no other place. If you've got a story tip for us, please contact us through our website. It's also the place that you can find a link to buy Jeff's latest book, the 2026 Haunted New England calendar, and dates for Jeff's story tour, and dates to see my band, the Pub Kings.
We'll go searching for the Dublin Lake monster and alien right after this word from our sponsor.
So Dublin Lake, though it's been called Dublin Pond, which gives you the sense of its size, is 236 acres of water. It's 0.8 miles long and about 0.6 miles wide and about 100 feet deep in its deepest parts.
So not a huge body of water, but nothing to sneeze at.
Exactly. Route 101 borders part of the lake, making it easy to get to. And the water is deep enough that people come here to scuba dive and to get their scuba certification.
Oh, that's really cool.
It is. Now, the town of Dublin was founded in 1749, but couldn't be properly settled until the 1760s when the French and Indian War had ended. The town sits about halfway between Peterborough and Keene, New Hampshire, and with a population of about 1,500 people, it's a small town. Now, back in the 1880s, Dublin Lake started to become a summer playground for the wealthy and for artists who built summer homes on the lake. Famed flyer Amelia Earhart was here.
Oh, okay.
So was Mark Twain for a couple of summers.
That's cool. Well, I wonder if those folks saw anything strange out here.
Now, if they did, they didn't leave much behind in the way of stories.
Got it. Okay, fair enough. So Dublin is a small town with an odd lake monster, if we're to believe the legends.
Now, we've covered lake monsters before. Champ and Lake Champlain is the most famous, of course.
Sure, yeah.
And we've covered sea serpents that are described similar to Champ, but lurk in the ocean.
Also true. Now, unlike Champ, Dublin Lake monster story only began in the 1980s.
Gnarly.
Totally awesome indeed. All right, to find out what happened, let's head back to 1982.
It's late September of 1982 here in Dublin, New Hampshire. Ronald Reagan is the President of the United States. Abracadabra by Steve Miller Band is the number one song on the radio right now for some weird reason. And Jeff and I are both sporting parachute pants and the most fantastic mullets you've ever seen.
We are.
And here on Dublin Lake, summer is winding down.
It is. The tourists and the weekend warriors are heading home, but there's still some boaters and anglers out there. And of course, the skin and scuba divers love this lake because it's got a gentle slope from the banks that can lead you down 100 feet if you have the gear and the stomach for it. And I guess the lungs, too. There's rumors of underwater caves and other mysteries, but those are just rumors. Either way, though, the outdoor recreation season is coming to a close pretty soon.
Today, there's a group of skin divers getting ready for a dive near the shores of Dublin Lake. One diver just swam out there with a rope, so the other divers can follow it down and back.
These skin divers don't use air tanks or anything like that, just a mask and a snorkel. So once you dive, you're just holding your breath.
There's a small group out there today, looks like maybe about 4 people.
Yep.
They're swimming out maybe 60 or 80 feet from the shore, then diving below. I mean, that's not my idea of a good time, but they seem to be enjoying themselves.
So the divers swim out, dive down, and about a minute later, they come up. And I'm impressed how long they can hold their breath.
I imagine with fall approaching, they won't get too many more days like this for skin diving. Wonder what's happening over there.
I'm not sure, but the group of skin divers are yelling about something.
There were 4 of them, right?
Yeah, I believe we counted 4 when they started.
Well, I can only see 3 of them now.
Oh no, something must have happened.
The divers are frantically surfacing and diving again. I think one of their friends may still be below.
Oh, this is awful. Soon, police divers arrive with scuba tanks. They're searching the waters below. It's the following morning, and there's been no sign of the skin diver. It's clear by now that this is no longer a rescue operation. At this point, it's a recovery.
Another day of searching passes, yet there's no sign of the body. Search and rescue is forced to pack up their things and move on. There's nothing more they can do. They figure the corpse may float to the surface at some point. 2 more days pass. A small group of hikers are walking some trails near Dublin Lake.
Hey, what is that up ahead?
I don't know. Is that a person?
Huh.
He seems naked.
I think you're right. Let's go look.
Lake monster. Lake monster. Monster.
I think this is our missing skin diver. He just keeps babbling about a lake monster.
He's clearly in some kind of shock and not making sense. But he's alive.
The hikers are wrapping him in a blanket and giving him some food and water.
Okay, they're getting him to his feet and helping him walk out of the woods. Looks like he's going to be okay. And that brings us back to today. Okay, there's a lot more to say here. Not just about the Dublin Lake monster, but also about aliens.
Aliens?
That's right. Most of what we know about this story comes from the July 27th, 2017 Monadnock Ledger Transcript newspaper. Now, there's 2 versions of how the skin diver was lost. We told the most common version of the story. Another suggests he was using a diving bell to go deep into the lake, but the bell's tether was too short. The diver found an underwater cave, explored it, and then disappeared for a few days. But the ending was the same. Hikers find him naked in the woods, incoherently babbling about a lake monster.
All right, got it. But there's no description of what the Dublin Lake monster looks like, and no word from the diver as to where he was for a few days.
Nope, just a lake monster and an incoherent witness. Also, we should point out that the early 1980s was not all that long ago. No newspaper account ever gave the skin diver's name or mentioned the search and rescue. It's just a story that keeps getting passed around and quoted again in other news reports and even books about New England cryptids.
But it must have started somewhere, right?
It always starts somewhere. That's the thing. There's a New Hampshire Chronicle television piece that ran a few years ago where the local diving school takes the reporter out for a dive in the lake. One of the objectives is to search for the lake monster.
So maybe the diving instructors are using the story as a bit of a marketing ploy? I mean, come dive with us and search for the Dublin Lake monster?
Well, I'm sure that doesn't hurt their business any. But as you said, it must have started somewhere. Divers use this lake often, and maybe someone has seen something they can't explain underwater.
I get that, but then there's the problem of size. I mean, the lake isn't that large.
Sure.
How big could an underwater creature get in waters like these? I mean, Lake Champlain is massive, right? I could see a 100-foot serpent going unnoticed and finding enough food to survive.
Sure.
But what could be below the waters of Dublin Lake?
Yeah, exactly. And therein lies the mystery. And then there's the story of an alien.
Right, that. Aliens, too.
Another vague story kicking around this lake is that a UFO crashed in the waters decades ago. Maybe the crashed spaceship is still down there, or it's an underwater UFO base, and maybe that's what the skin diver saw all those years ago.
So the plot thickens.
It does. Now, this legend was mentioned in the 2014 book, and we mentioned the newspaper article and television piece that came later, but I had a hard time pinning down the exact origin date. Everyone just says early 1980s.
And considering the fashion and the mullets in the early 80s, maybe this lake monster was just another fashion reject out for a swim.
I guess that's possible. I mean, even if we can't pin it down exactly, when you look at Dublin Lake today, you can't help but wonder exactly what may be lurking in the deep, dark waters.
Which is why I prefer boats and, even better, dry land. And that takes us to After the Legend, where we take a deeper dive into this week's story and sometimes swim off
I
course.
see what you did. After the Legend, of course, brought to you by our Patreon patrons. This legendary group of insiders keep us going and growing. We deeply appreciate their financial support. These are the times we live in now. If there's something you enjoy, it's up to you to help keep it going. All we're asking for is $3 per month, and for that, you get early ad-free access to new episodes, access to our entire archive of shows, plus bonus episodes and content that no one else gets to hear. Just head over to patreon.com/New England Legends to sign up and to see some pictures of Dublin Lake. Click on the link in our episode description or go to our website and click on episode 418.
Such a fun story because it's probably not true at all.
So, but again, I always want to pin down how did it start?
Right,
You
right,
know,
right, right.
like so if a diver was missing for 3 days and search and rescue came, that would have made the news.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't
Oh,
find
absolutely,
anything.
yeah.
Like they would have been like missing man found alive. That's big news. Like
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing news loves to run. Like, oh, we were sure he was dead, then he was not. Like that could even make national news.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a story like this.
Especially in the 80s.
Yeah, like that's the kind of feel-good piece you want. Like people go searching and then it has a happy ending because so rarely does it.
Right.
So yes, very strange if that really happened that it would not have made the news. But is it possible he was missing for an hour and his friends found him incoherent and naked, you know,
Right.
on the shore?
It wasn't days.
It wasn't
yeah.
days. It was like 1 hour, and they didn't even tell the police or the media because they were like, "Dude, I think he got the bends." Right. So I don't know enough about the bends, but when you come up too fast from deep water, you get nitrogen in your blood, and it can kill you. It can literally kill you. So that's why in diving, and I'm no diver, but when you blow a bubble, an air bubble, you're supposed to rise as slow as the slowest bubble. Don't pass your bubbles when you're coming up to the surface.
Yep.
Unless you're in the last like 10 feet or so. But like if you're coming up from any sort of depth,
Yeah.
you need to come up slowly so you don't get the bends. And could he have gotten the bends? And that's where it came from. And he was just like, Lake Monster, Lake Monster.
Could it have been a publicity stunt? And who drew the short straw to be the naked guy in the woods?
Yeah, right. That's Bill. He's he lost at poker last night and had it coming. But I think about this. So diving schools go here because it's great water. It's clean. It's clear. It's deep enough that you can actually do some. When you think of scuba diving, you just never think of fresh water.
Right.
But people do that.
Yeah.
Of course they do. Scuba divers are like, oh, how great. I don't have to go all the way to the ocean. I've got this great lake right here that I can use. And they teach it. However, the lake is indeed dangerous. There's a couple other stories to tell you about. In August of 2022, there was a man that was found floating on the water. He was dead and determined drowned. That's not much. It was literally a paragraph just saying man found. And they named him, but I don't think we need to name him. And then in May of 2024, 2 paddleboarders found a man floating in Dublin Lake who was wearing a wetsuit and a swim cap. And he was also pronounced dead at the scene. Again, no need to give you the name. It's pretty recent. So people do drown there. That does happen. But let's go back to the crashed UFO and underwater caves. If you've got so many diving schools coming here, like a New Hampshire Chronicle filmed a piece. They're like, oh, they mentioned the aliens, they mentioned the monster, and they showed like some cool rock formations underwater. They had their cameras under there and bass swimming by. It was cool. It actually looked like a really nice thing if you're into that, right? And so I got to believe with all those scuba divers, both professional and training, if there's a spaceship down there, you know what I mean?
It's not a big lake. It was called a pond at one point.
Right.
You would find it eventually.
You would think that the diving school would be like, come see the crashed UFO.
Yeah.
Right? You'd have a line, you'd have a waiting list for
and
that.
were the underwater caves fact, or was that just a guess?
don't
Because, again, such a small area, how could it be littered with underwater caves?
Right. Or maybe it's just a rock formation that forms like a little indent or something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we've covered stories of land caves that are not really caves. It's just some rocks fell.
Yeah.
and there's enough room for like 1 or 2 people to get in there.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like Mammoth Cave that goes back for miles.
Yeah.
It's just
way back when we went into one of those. Remember that? That was a pretty small cave.
Which one?
Do you remember we tried videotaping us?
Oh,
we were
no.
going to put like a little thing together.
That was the Upton Chamber.
Right, but that was
It was a cave.
cave-ish, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But it was very small.
Very small.
Only 2 or 3 people could really comfortably
Sure.
get in there.
And it's flooded year round, so there's that
Yeah,
problem
there's
too.
that.
There's like a foot of water at the bottom, so don't sit down and bring your boots. So right, that's how these things go. So yes, the story survives, but if there was a monster or a spaceship in that lake, I would think the many, probably thousands of divers that have gone in that lake since the 1980s would have seen something.
Every inch has probably been covered.
You'd think.
And since the 80s, we have underwater photography. I mean,
Yes.
that's pretty basic and standard,
You
right?
could take a GoPro.
Yeah.
You could take your iPhone.
Right.
Your iPhone's supposed to be good for like 100 meters.
Yeah.
So like, anyway, I did think of this though, and this will give you the willies. One of the things that bothers me about potentially scuba diving in a lake like that is it's also very popular for fishing. Stay with me.
Okay.
You're down there swimming.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, here comes this hook, right? Like right through you. Oh. Ow. Right? You're not going to die, but I would hurt.
My gosh, yeah.
That's all I could think of. So do you...
And you don't even have to be on a boat to be fishing. You could just have a great cast from a dock.
You got enough weights on there, you can launch that thing 50 yards easy, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so, you're out there. So on the one hand, if you see like the little thing bobbing, do you mess with it? But then like if he yanks, it goes through your finger. Yay. Like that's fun.
It'd be dangerous. If I saw a hook in the water, I think I'd move away from it. I wouldn't mess around with it.
Not a good place to be.
I wouldn't be in the water anyway.
I'm sure there's some sort of like, it's probably like the Bloods and the Crips, right? Like there's got to be some sort of thing like, we're diving here. Don't you fish here.
You fish on that side. We'll dive on this side.
Yeah, you stay in your lane, right? Like we're not going to come mess with your fish. Don't come mess with our divers.
And then later at the bar, they rumble.
They're like, hey man, that hook was a little close.
Over there.
Yeah, that's a little close.
Let's go get him.
Yeah, I saw you with your boat. Yeah, right. The music starts. Yeah, the divers start hitting them with air tanks. You know, the fishermen pull out their little hooks. Yeah, this is the makings of all a great musical for sure. But still, the story persists. And when it only goes... See, for me, when a story goes back to 1982, I'm like, oh, I can solve this. You know what I mean?
There's enough recent evidence.
If it was 1682, I'd be like, all right, that's going to be a challenge. But 1982, I was alive, man.
Put a little more work into it. Maybe you can.
And if we could figure it out, it would be magic. Abracadabra. See what I did? See what I did? Oh, fine.
Such a horrible song, too.
Wow.
As we ride off into the sunset, please make sure you're subscribed to our podcast so you don't miss a thing. Plus, it's free. We also appreciate it when you post a review for us or post and share our episodes on social media. It does help us grow. The more people who listen, the more people who email us with story leads. And we love getting these story leads, so please keep them coming.
We'd like to thank our Patreon patrons. Thank you to our sponsors. And our theme music is by John Judd.
Until next time, remember,
stay legendary.